check the negativity at the door. Jeff Dubay Show. It's a wild Wednesday. Somebody's cord is crackling. It's not mine. Thank God.
That was just Tony adjusting over there.
Oh, is it? Well, sit still, Tony.
I was adjusting my positivity.
Yeah, well, I tell
Trying
you what,
to?
I've been scared to death of how Tony's going to be, because when I'm on the bus coming over here today, there's a series of tweets just as negative. I mean, the guy just loaded for bear. I mean, it's okay to be negative right now because, God forbid, how do you find any positivity in this squad? But he sounded like he was coming here to take me deep, like he was coming here to take Scott deep, like he just was coming here in a confrontational mood, like he just wanted to get over and just be a dick. That's, Tony can be like that. His wife gets him cowering in the corner and crying in the basement. So he has to come here and take it out on us. He's got the angst build up. He has all kinds of things building up. But so he gets here and he just wants to just dig in and just start fights and just be antagonistic. But now look at him. He's all mild mannered and sitting there and making me feel guilty for even picking on him.
I think he gets on the air now and he's all chill.
Well, he's doing the fight or flight response. I think he's just building it up. He's in the corner now. You just wait to see what happens.
All right, guys. We might as well start with the trade because it's the most fresh news. Devin Dubnyk, whatever.
Dubnyk.
All right, well, let's talk some Dubnyk. What do you think? I mean, if they had a goaltender, you could not continue. I think it's quite clear. Even if you're bagging the season, you cannot continue just putting Backstrom out there night after night. Kemper's hurt, and when Kemper's not hurt, he's an idiot. Backstrom is not even an NHL quality goaltender anymore. Curry is definitely not an NHL goal. You literally don't have an NHL caliber goaltender on your roster without making this trade. So did you give up too much? I mean, yeah. What did you give up? A third-round pick for somebody who's been released or gone through waivers twice in the last year or two? Sure, but I mean, didn't you have to do it? I mean, did you really have any choice at all?
You needed to do something, and I would say a couple things. First of all, the reason that Curry is up here is because they're not going to take another goaltender from Iowa to be the backup. Curry is going to be the backup, and that's going to be his role up here, at least for the time being. Now, the other thing is, and I said it in tweets, throughout the week. I mean, we're goalie flush, but it all is derived from a series of events that ultimately falls on the shoulders of Josh Harding. And the fact that they signed Josh Harding in 2012 in June. In October, he came out the fact that he had MS. The following year, we had no goaltenders, ready to go. So they were forced to sign Backstrom to a 3-year deal, probably to get the salary that they needed to get. And then we start this season where we think we're going to be kind of set, and we could probably put Kemper in the minors and leverage that, and so he'll sign a 2-way deal. And then Harding goes and breaks his foot in an altercation with a teammate, Stefan Veilleux. So he's caused 2 different goalie contract issues that ultimately has resulted in this result. I mean, we are stuck with goaltenders that are subpar, and we can't do anything about it because they're on contract. If the Wild were smart, and I said this before, they would have bought him out as soon as they could with the MS and been done with it. They could have used a compliance buyout. They wouldn't have taken salary cap, and they could have cleared out a goalie position and brought in somebody worthwhile.
Wild Wednesday is on the air. We are live at Burger Mo's. I keep saying live. Again, it's a podcast. We got Scott Schweitz, we got Tony Dean, Jason McGovern, Jeff Dubay. So is this the root of have we gotten to the root of all evil? Have we gotten to where it all started? Is it all being heaped on a goaltender with MS, or is it going to be maybe evenly divided between a goaltender with MS and a team that decided that they for some reason could rely on him coming into the season?
I think what we're seeing is you have 3 goaltenders that have failed this year. Harding obviously has failed because he hasn't been on the ice due to choices he made kicking the wall, and then due to complications with an illness that'll probably end his career. I don't foresee him being in the NHL as a goaltender ever again. And then you look at Nicholas Backstrom, who is twice removed from a season in which he led the NHL in wins. It was a lockout-shortened season. He gets the Wild to the playoffs, and then he is injured. He's often injured. A lot of this goaltender situation, I think you can definitely attribute to Josh Harding's inability to be the number one guy and the projection that was made that he would be the number one guy. And I think a good majority of this falls on Chuck Fletcher, because he's ultimately the architect of this roster. He's the one who makes these projections of guys. He's the one that signed Josh Harding to be his number one guy. He's the one that signed Nicholas Backstrom to this just albatross of a contract.
I'm going to interject right there. I mean, he signed Josh Harding to be his number one when Josh Harding, in all indicators, was going to be a number one. He had no idea that the MS was in the mix. He signed him to a 3-year deal that was, by all accounts, a good contract for the price that he paid. And then how many months later it came out that he had MS, and it completely just dismantled. So Chuck Fletcher did what any general manager would have done, is taken somebody who was the backup that was working his way to be the number one and paid him, got him on a 3-year deal, and if he wouldn't have had MS, you wouldn't have Nicholas Backstrom here anymore. So
sure,
you can't put
it's also
Fletcher.
Fletcher. It's also Fletcher who's responsible for pinning his season and pinning the chances of this team, who have been built to be a contender, to elevate the brand of their hockey, to compete in the Western Conference. He pinned it to a guy that can't stay healthy, another guy that can't stay healthy, and a goalie that wasn't ready for the NHL, who you might have ruined by putting him in a position where you don't have a backup that can even do a timeshare with him consistently, and now he has failed to launch. So if we're not going to blame Yo, and if it's not Yo's fault because it's not a coaching issue, and the number one problem with this team is goaltending, then I guess it falls on Fletcher. And I'm a Fletcher guy. I like Fletcher. I think he's done a great job, but he's behind the curve on dealing and addressing with the goaltender issue, and you can't just put it on Josh Harding because guys get hurt. You have to have a plan. If Josh Harding was the best goaltender for 2 months last season, and then he was unavailable to you because of symptoms of MS, then you pin your hopes to him again this year, then that's flawed leadership, and that's an inability to be able to depend on a guy that you pinned your season to.
Well, put it this way. Let's play coffee table general manager. What are you going to do? You rewind 2 years and you buy out his contract. You buy out a guy with MS.
You put him on the light.
Oh my God! You would get effing destroyed with PR. Oh my God!
You put him on
the entire league. The guy that won the Masterson Trophy, you're gonna buy out.
Scott,
holy shit! They would destroy you.
Scott, you put him on the long-term injury reserve because there's no possible chance that the symptoms that are associated with
stay on
LTIR.
Can't stay on LTIR if he's playing.
You put him on there to start the season. And if he somehow proves that he can play, and he's never done that.
Prior to kicking the wall, though, he was playing at a high level when he was playing.
Months.
But when he was playing with the Octagon guys, he was playing at a high level, and he came out and said, "You know what? I'm feeling the best I've ever felt. I'm playing well." And from all the beat writers, he was playing at an elevated level, and everything looked like he was the guy that looked like the guy that was last year.
Who they said that about? They said that about Nicholas Backstrom too. And look at Nicholas Backstrom's performance. Did anybody believe that Nicholas Backstrom could be the number one guy here? And if they were in a position of authority with the Wild and they believed he would be the number one guy here if we needed him to be, then they failed, man. I mean, that's a failure.
He never was supposed to be the number one guy here. His last contract was basically to set him up to be the backup. But I'll tell you what, he couldn't have been the backup because the person they signed to be the starter had MS. So he couldn't have been the starter. So I'm telling you, this is all a continuous cascade of goaltender issues, starting from Josh Harding all the way to now. It is a continued clusterfuck of goalies, and until you accept that, you're not seeing the forest through the trees.
I've asked you guys this more than once this year. Was there a scenario in which they could have kept Brizgala at the beginning of the year? I mean, he was here for camp.
No.
There's
had 3, right?
No, because here's the deal. If Josh Harding wouldn't have kicked the wall and he was healthy, you could have had leverage against Kemper. Thus, you could have sent Kemper to the minors on a 2-way deal. They're not going to sign a guy on a 1-way deal, immediately send him to the minors. Now, should they have? Now, in hindsight, of course you should have. But they wanted to keep him up here, so they let Briz go. Would Briz have been the answer? Who knows? You can't really speak to that. But I would say that it has to go back further than that, that if you would have bought out Harding and or bought out Backstrom, you wouldn't have had this goalie conundrum of too many cooks in the kitchen to try to figure this out. You had a lot of options, but you had the PR nightmare, you had the $3.2 million man, in Backstrom that he have 2 years left on his deal, and what are you going to do? I mean, you're going to buy him out, bring in Briz for a year or maybe 2, but hope that he's the bridge guy to somebody until Kemper's better?
Scott, none of this is a mystery, though. If you go back and you read the quotes before training camp happened, they were selling that Josh Harding's the number 1 guy. They were selling that Nicholas Backstrom, when he was healthy, when he didn't have the groin injury like last year, he led the league in wins. They were selling that Josh Harding, during the first 2 months of the last season, was the best goaltender in hockey.
Well, he was. Not arguably.
I agree.
He was up for a spot in the Canadian Olympic team.
100% I agree, except for nobody could guarantee that he stays in the lineup, because if you look at the symptoms that are associated with MS, it has to do with dehydration. It has to do with fatigue. It has to do with affecting your reflexes. And then this.
But here's the thing:
I have MS.
But if you're the Wild, think of this: what are you going to do? You have all these guys on contract.
Take action. Don't sell tired narratives. That's what they did. They pimped it up.
How do you know if he has his medication right and he could honestly be the lights out goaltender he has shown he can be? Why don't you sell that idea until it shows?
How do I know? Because there was 2 seasons in which he proved that the management of his illness takes him out of the lineup for extended periods of time. I'm not saying that they wouldn't have gotten killed in the PR department by making a decision on him. I'm not saying that when they signed Nicholas Backstrom that there wasn't a hope that maybe they could get another year of him being the number 1 and then transition, right? But that's not what we were facing when we started training camp. They were selling that Nicholas Backstrom, even though he's 36 years old, he can be the guy that led the league in wins as a goaltender, especially with this roster. That's what they sold. You can go back and read it, because it's
they had
actual.
They had to sell because Harding kicked the wall and broke his foot, and they had no options.
Okay, so
at
then,
that point,
so
you have
then
no
on
options.
the backside of this, right, when you melt down as a team, you don't make your expectations. You don't get to go pour us our goaltending situation because you identified it as a strength coming into the season when you misprojected it, and you ruined Kemper this year by not putting him in a situation where Backstrom can play a timeshare. If anything, they should have...
Absolutely, and I will say this. Kemper should have started the season in the minors.
Yes.
I 100% agree.
Yes.
But you don't have that option, considering
Sure.
we can bring up the timeline. As soon as Harding broke his foot, Kemper signed his contract, a day later?
And he leveraged it.
Yes.
And he
Exactly.
leveraged it.
As anybody
they had
would.
no choice. They had no
as
choice but to
anybody
give it.
would do.
Sure.
Yeah,
But he's got the KHL dangling. Then all of a sudden, the guy that was going to be our guy now is out for 3 months.
Sure.
Now what are we going to do? And Kemper's agent's like, hey, by the way, this is our golden ticket.
Yes.
We're going to get you a 2-year one-way deal.
And Kemper's agent knew better than anybody else that the Wild was fragile at the position. And he leveraged it. But you can go back, too, on the timeline, and you can see that Darcy Kemper was failing to launch, right? They could have put him in the minors without him requiring waivers, and they could have taken action earlier in the season.
However, he did look pretty solid at the end of last season.
Yeah, but I'm talking about this year.
He looked solid at the beginning of this year.
I'm talking about this year.
And if you're going off of what the Wild are going to put in place at the beginning of this year, you have to take into account the end of last year in the playoffs, in which, before the concussion, Kemper looked like a very solid goaltender.
Yes, but we're talking about specifically this year, right? And he showed at times that he might be the number 1 guy, except for they kept collapsing. The New York game happened. They collapsed multiple times with the lead. What they could have done, they could have put him in the minors. They could have added a goalie. You could have played Backstrom. He wouldn't have required waivers. He could have got his head straight in Iowa, right? They didn't take action.
If that's possible. I don't know if he's got their head straight in Iowa.
And Iowa was a mess, no doubt. But they could have taken action. They didn't. So when you get here now and you blame the whole thing on goaltending, I have a problem with that, because I think it's a lack of leadership.
It's quite literally a combination of goaltending and the problems that the goaltending caused to Fletcher.
And avoidance and leadership. I can
tell you this. You had no say in any of the goaltending shit that was going on.
Sure.
100%. So any of you out there that are listening and are bitching about Yo being fired, you might want to do your effing homework, because he had no control of this. So you might want to just stop the pitchforks and the torches and learn your shit.
For that reason. I mean, there's plenty of precedents that Yo has avoided holding accountable his veterans. He's avoided
I will tell you
changing
this.
the power play
I will tell you
personnel.
this,
No,
though.
you got to hold on.
All right.
So there's plenty of precedents that Yo.
Heated episode of the Wild Wednesday.
greatest.
Continue.
There's
No,
plenty.
you guys are great. Keep
There's
going.
plenty of precedents that Yo has avoided taking action, holding people accountable. He's avoided being in charge of Ryan Suter's minutes, which he's made clear that Ryan Suter plays as much as Ryan Suter wants to play, which has been to the detriment of the team this year.
I don't think you can say that considering
He said it.
the absolute just decimation of our defensive core this year with injury, with suspensions, with other things that we have been it has been decimated is the best word you could possibly use, because we get down to our third pairing, and they are borderline dog shit.
And they weren't.
How's your top
But
pairing?
it wasn't worse than last year.
But I'm saying, like, what are you going to have your top guy?
Scott, we had Clayton Stoner in the top 4 last year. So there was 2 guys worse than Clayton Stoner below them, and Suter
But
played.
look at the
Suter
year.
played
We've
better.
had Brodeen injured
Suter
this
played
year. We've
better
had
last
Spurge
year.
injured this year. We've had a lot of guys
Suter
injured this
played
year.
better last year with Stoner playing top 4
I'm
minutes.
saying.
Here's what I'm saying. I'm not asking you to pick up a pitchfork and to call for Yo's head, but we can't explain away these are tired narratives, and these are excuses from a fan base that has Stockholm syndrome. Especially season ticket holders. If you spend money and you expected to see a team make the playoffs this year, and you get this performance where they can't explain why they don't go out there and effort, they can't explain why they have to have a closed-door team meeting to figure out why guys aren't playing within the system, why they're not doing that, and you spend, being honest about it, I got my dad tickets to Hockey Day Minnesota, and they're not even great tickets, and I spent $300 out of my own pocket because I wanted to provide him with the opportunity, and then we're going to see a team get out 7-2 by whoever.
Well, they're playing Arizona, so
They're
you're
playing
probably
Arizona.
all right. But I will
if
say,
they lose to
but I'll-
Arizona on Hockey Day Minnesota, get booed, what does it say?
I will say this, though. Considering I am a season ticket holder and I spend an exorbitant amount of money on tickets, I will say the reason I'm not pissed is because I know, as a former player, what happens when you know you have bad goaltending. What kind of vibe that puts through your locker room, and it absolutely just come from the defense to the forwards. Everybody knows it, and it sits in your back of your head. It's like, when's the shoe going to drop? When's he going to let in the softie? When's he going to let in the second softie? When's he going to get pulled? When's the shitty backup going to come in? What's going to happen? Because God knows we can go down and pump 42 shots against Crawford and not do an effing thing, but as soon as they come the other way, they're just destroying our half-ass goaltending. So why should we put up the effort? Of course, it's human nature that you're going to doubt what you're doing. And you know what? Unless that is solved, it's not going to change. And that isn't coaching. That's human nature, and that's something that's still inside a competitor and inside a player. If you have doubt within your team, nothing can change that. I don't care what drills you're running, what lines you're doing. And, of course, Yo is grasping at straws because he doesn't know how to fix it, because it can't be fixed by just him.
What does Yo ever do to fix things? What does he do?
He has limited options. What are you going to do?
Well,
you
because
can't.
the biggest problem again isn't in that, and you've got no options. Now we'll see what happens with.
And no
with
shit.
Dubay.
What are you going to? You're going to come out and is Yo going to come out and say, hey, by the way, the reason we suck is because our goaltending is dog shit? No, because you have your fucking goaltender that has to play tomorrow night. You can't call him dog shit in front of the whole team. So until you accept that, you have to understand that. What are you going to do?
It is a pull no punches version of a Wild Wednesday, and I'm going to tell you this too, Scott. You said that decimate is the perfect word for what has happened to the blue line core. Believe it or not, that's actually an understatement, because the literal interpretation of decimate is you lose 1 out of every 10. I mean, that doesn't even come close to what has happened to that group.
Look at you with your fancy habits.
I'm the grammar police. I'm the grammar police. What can I say? But we're going to take our first break, and hopefully the guys do not cool off, because there's no reason to. There's many reasons for angst, and we will continue to get into them and delve deeply. And the angst shall be well duly noted. I don't see how you could possibly miss it coming from Tony and or Scott. Personally, I don't give a shit.
Hi, I'm Terry Daniel, and I've been a voice actor in Minneapolis for over 2 decades now. How often are you getting compliments on your voice? Now is the time to do something about it. If you're interested in getting into voiceovers, please contact me via my website at universalvoicetalent.com.
15 seconds in, hits a button, and it ain't commercial anymore. It's the jackasses talking. I heard it. And he's like, hey, so what are you doing tomorrow night? Hey, fuck it, whatever. It's like...
You know, folks who've listened to the show, they know that I lived in the Uptown area here, right down Pleasant Avenue, as a matter of fact, and on the corner of Pleasant Lake is where Uptown Pond is. And I have been here numerous times, had numerous business dealings with them. It's just a nice place with good, honest people. Bob Jacobson, the owner, you run the place. You've always been good to me.
Thanks, Jeff. We try. That's part of our business. We're here to help people, and so everybody walks in the door. We hope we can help.
Well, what I've always appreciated is when people are nice to people who are the low man on the totem pole. Like when I was a bat boy, I liked the star guys who were nice to the bat boy.
Right.
And I mean, I came in here and you guys didn't know who I was. You didn't know I had a radio show, and you treated me great. I mean, just a guy off the street.
Listen, that's the idea with I think a smaller family type business. Somebody walks in the door, we don't want to let them see everybody gets treated the same way, and we hope that's the case. And we don't want to see them leave without. We try our very best.
It's really easy. It's easy. It's low pressure. Good, honest people. Right on the corner of Lake Street and Pleasant Avenue. You guys got to check out Uptown Pond.
He's a real nowhere man,
Puppy.
sitting in his nowhere land.
All right, we're back.
This is my ode to Mike Yo.
It is I don't want to even call it a negative version of Wild Wednesday because it's fitting. I mean,
It's a passionate version.
It is definitely a pull no punches. It is a no holds barred. It is an angst ridden version of Wild Wednesday. And why shouldn't it be? The squad is in the tank. They're not only are they losing, but they're losing 7-1, 7-2. I mean, they're not even coming close. And I mean, you remember we go back to that Winnipeg game where they're on the road, they fall down a couple of goals, they rally, they win the game, and we think, okay, this is a big deal if it leads to something. Well, what did it lead to? It led to losing 6 out of their next 7 games. They beat Toronto, and then they haven't won since. I mean, it's just been an absolute disaster. The season is circling the drain. They're now 8 points out of a wild card spot in the Western Conference playoff picture. If a team is built from the goal out, from the net out, which I believe it is, we're gonna tackle the problems in that order, from the goal out. And we've already been around and around chasing our tails about the goaltender situation. So let's talk blue line. As Scott pointed out, a lot of injuries. A lot of unrest back there. Tony, you've talked about Suter getting too many minutes and how it's taking a toll, and how he's not having a good year. He has a minus 22 in his last 20 games. Is it? I mean, it's a disaster. Again, plus or minus, you can take it to mean what you want it to mean. But that's a number that cannot be ignored.
And beyond the goals that he's been on for, and the turnover that ends the game, versus the Blues lets them back in and then they end the game. Beyond all of that, you don't see offense from Suter. I mean, he carries the puck into the zone. He'll set up, some of the cycle. He'll throw the puck at the net, but you don't get a lot of offense from him. So maybe the minutes come away from the power play. I mean, we've talked about this. It'd be a great thing if somebody would step up and be like, maybe we give a guy that's going to put the puck on the net, shoot, be aggressive with it, like Scandella, even Jonas Brodin. Brodin scored a goal, and I was like, the next evolution for him as a player would be for him to be aggressive with the puck, shoot the puck more, add more offense to his game, but he seems to defer to Suter so much. It's little stuff like this. I mean, the most dynamic thing that Yo has done as a leader of this team was to step out front last year and not give any credit to their failure to his players, and that's what bought him. Yeah. That's what bought him another 3-year contract. And then this year, it looks like he's trying to do the same strategy, and it looks like they're trying to bail him out and say it has nothing to do with him, it has to do with the players. And ultimately, what it comes away looking like is that they have this putrid failure of a season, and then nobody's gonna take blame. Like that's why I hold an opinion that I don't think we're being negative. I think we're being very realistic about the problems.
I agree.
And you know who should be selling a narrative and spinning it and trying to find positive? The team PR staff. That's who should be doing it. Not season ticket holders, not fans, not people that want to have integrity in the content that they create, whether it's podcasts like the Jeff Dubay Show, Wild Wednesdays, like Hockey Buzz where I write. I shouldn't be trying to explain away the failures of the team. I should be writing why I believe they're failing, and then whether you agree with me or not, at least I have integrity in it. I mean
I agree completely that Suter has no place on the power play one for sure. But your point about what defenseman is going to fill that gap, you have Spurge. Scandella's been hurt for a while. Spurge was hurt early in the season. Brodin was hurt early in the season. You have kind of a carousel of injuries that we've had, whether it be actual injuries, whether it be the mumps, whether it be the norovirus, whatever you want to call it. You have a guy that has established himself as one of the best defensemen in the league, and that has been in the Norris Trophy conversation for probably the past how many?
Why dismiss him as a non-power play
correct.
entity?
So until you have somebody that can absolutely replace him, why do it? Now, the arguments that we made earlier about Pominville being on that second point as opposed to a Spurgeon or a Scandella or a Brodin or somebody else, absolutely valid. But now all of a sudden you take Suter out of the mix and you put one of those other defensemen in that place, then what happens? What are you going to backfill that position with? So I'm sure that there's a lot of issues with, if you take this guy out, okay, then we're going to fill him with this guy. Then we can take this guy out. There's a lot of issues that are stemming from other players, and I'm completely on board with the fact that Pominville has been shit this year. He has been.
Oh, be careful, because that'll get you attacked.
He scored
Teflon.
He's scored
Teflon.
I get it, but not just by the staff, but some of your buddies over there. Between Hockey Wilderness and Hockey Buzz, they've. I think I said something about send Palmer to the press box for a game, and I got a lot of ridicule. But the point being is between Palmer, between Koivu, who Yo is leveraging a bigger role for Koivu than he ever should have. Whether or not it's because
because Koivu's been so good this year. Every game he's so good at defense.
He's good at defense, but he's not good at offense. My point is, in the people that understand,
he has so many shots on the power play.
Who gives a shit?
Be careful.
He's not fucking scoring.
This is what I was afraid of. This is Tony, I was afraid we were going to get.
Here's the thing: if you don't produce, then the people can't be defending a player in roles that they shouldn't be in.
Well, they can defend a player, and they do defend a player.
Well, whatever. Then they're wrong.
Without mercy.
Because if they think that Koivu is the answer and they should be on a PP1 when he shouldn't be, he's a defensive guy. I get it.
That's not a criticism of Koivu. That's a criticism of Yo.
It's Yo.
It might be Yo, but
because who's in charge?
But look at this.
Charge?
He's in charge.
Is he?
But
because he doesn't act like it. He allows these veterans to go without accountability. And here's what I'm saying. I'm not in the room.
No, the thing about it is if you did everything you absolutely wanted and had to not answer to anybody, that's one thing. But if you make one move, taking Koivu off the top power play, who is your captain?
Does the captain matter? We argue, does the captain matter?
To public perception, it sure as hell does, because if you take your...
But does it? If you say giving the C to Parise doesn't matter because nobody cares about the captain, then
my
why...
guy Puck Daddy said that Parise's the fucking captain of the Wild today in his article. If anybody doesn't accept that, then they're idiots.
But you know who doesn't accept that? Mike Yo, because he's still got the captain on Koivu's sweater. He won't pull him off the top power play. He won't limit his role.
And we'd be San Jose Part 2. It'd be like, hey, by the way, now this is going to happen. We're going to take it from him and give it to him. And by the way,
it doesn't matter.
We're going to pull
it doesn't matter who the captain is, right? It's a flawed narrative.
It is not a flawed narrative because he has a contract that is untradeable.
That's true.
And you can't get rid of him. You can't bury him, and he's here for another 4 years.
And why can't you get rid of him? Because his contract is brutal.
You're going to have a sulking third-line center that makes $6 million.
His contract is brutal. He has 20 points. He's very, very good at defense on a terrible team that gets scored on. Come on.
You guys are making me uncomfortable
Come
now.
on. Here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. The reason
fans unfortunately are uneducated in the entire bigger picture of this team. They want to make these knee-jerk moves that, of course, I think for the most part make a lot of sense. Take the C away from Koivu, absolutely. Move him off the power play, absolutely.
Yes.
Take Suter off the top power play, absolutely.
Yes.
You know what happens is there's a ripple effect, not only within,
wow. What happens is nothing.
Not only within
because Yo has decided to do nothing. But what he will do, he'll explain how good you played in a loss. He'll explain that you're real close and maybe you got a couple bounces.
You do the same thing if you were the coach.
Hold on. What is that ripple effect though? Where does that go?
Yeah.
The ripple effect.
Finish the thought.
The ripple effect is not only maybe in the locker room if you have players that maybe agree with the fact that he shouldn't be the captain, but he is. Nobody's gonna stand up and I mean, the people that talked about that closed-door meeting and who's talking, who the hell knows? I mean, all I read was that at the end of all of it, and that the players were gone, that Zach Parise was sitting there with his skates on still, staring at the ground, and nobody's in there. This is a guy that has burdened, I don't know how much, and shouldered more than any person should ever have to shoulder in the fact of a season for a professional athlete that's in the public eye and just lost his father, who was his best friend, who's his mentor, who's the guy that he shared the love of hockey with, now has to burden the fact that their team is shitty. And the captain's like, we're bad, and everybody should be ashamed of themselves, and this is how I talk as I'm finished, and blah, blah, blah. Like, he doesn't give a shit. Sure. He's waiting for the season to end, and he's going to fly back over to
there's
Turco.
no repercussions for him, ever.
But you're talking about what the effect would be then. Okay, if we're a couple of points out of the playoffs, I understand you leave it alone, or you maybe just little tweaks here and there. You're not even near a wild card right now. This is where you sit Pominville. This is where you take 5 minutes a game from Suter. This is where you start making the moves.
Your problem
and you
is
don't care about what it does in the
do you
locker
realize
room.
what like the fan base would do if you did that? Like if you put
what is the fan base doing right now? They hate the product.
Be honest.
Well, okay,
they probably cheer.
Look what happened when I put up the fact that you put Pominville in the press box.
Yeah.
What kind of balls?
Hockey Wilderness and Hockey Buzz destroyed me. But
those are advanced statistics.
Hold on.
Those are people that should know enough about the fact that the guy's playing like shit because I know enough about the game.
Is Mike Yeo the kind of guy who's got the stones? Well, his job is hanging by a thread and his team is circling the drain. Is he the kind of coach? I mean, we're not talking about Scotty Bowman here. We're not talking about some big time figure. We're talking about Mike Yeo. Does he have the stones to put his top guys on the bench in the press box with the team circling the drain? Does he have the balls to take an elite defenseman off the top power play?
No.
I mean, let's be realistic.
I mean,
I know we want to be drastic, but he can't. Mike Yeo cannot do that.
And the fact that the reason that he got his 3-year extension, you said it before, is that he had the support of his players. He had this. He was a players' coach. They did the meeting in the desert.
You know
and all
who Mike
that
Yeo targets? The Devin Setaguchis of the world. He targets the Justin Fontaines of the world. There's no damage. There's no threat. We're getting.
He's like a bully in that way.
We've said it earlier. You can't really go after players that have 6-year contracts because they're untradeable.
You can, and when you don't do it, you end up with the locker room that we have now, and the effort that you have now, and you end up with these closed door meetings that don't do anything.
Here's the reason you don't comfortable if you don't.
Here's the reason you don't alienate your veteran locker room is because the fact that these guys are untradeable and under no move and no trade clauses for the next 6 to 10 years, and you think that they're going to move? Hell no. Well, who's going to move? The coach.
Let's define go after.
And he's going to move anyways because look at their season.
Wait a second.
They're going to move anyways.
So when you say go after Koivu, what do you want him to do? What do you want? I mean, you just want him off the top power play? You want him to go down to the second, third line?
You want to talk about perfect world?
Yeah.
If everything being
What do you mean by go after? You guys are saying you can't go after these guys. Tell me what it means to go after.
You take the C off his jersey, step 1.
Okay.
Step 2, you give the C to Parise because everybody knows he deserves it. Step 3, he's not any of your power play guy. Maybe a second, maybe. That's what you do to start.
Okay.
Now, he's a third-line center.
Okay.
He's a third-line center. He's a defensive center, and that is the guy, that is the player he is. That is his talent. He has no offensive talent compared to other players in the league, but his defensive talent is second to none. I will argue that till I'm blue in the face.
Okay.
I think his defensive forward talent, if put in the right way, is as good as they get.
Devil's advocate. If you put him in that role, do you not tell the league this is what he is and make him even less tradable?
Yes. And
who gives a shit? He's not tradable now.
He's not tradable.
And
you never know.
You know the best part about it.
You find the right situation, anybody's tradable.
You know the best part about it. You know the best part about it. You said you can't do this. You can't do this because you lose your job, right? Guess what Mike Yeo is gonna do? Because he didn't do anything, he's going to lose his job. So what did he do to keep his job? What did he do? This year, what did he do? Because when they go into Buffalo and they lose again, when they get booed on Hockey Day Minnesota, who's going to lose his job? You think it's Chuck Fletcher? Maybe. Probably not. Guess who's going to lose their job? Mike Yeo. Guess what he didn't do? He didn't do anything to hold Koivu accountable. He didn't do anything to move Suter off the top power play. He didn't do anything to empower Matthew Dumba, like play him on the power play earlier, and he probably won't do it now that he's coming back. I mean, if you have a guy like...
No, your buddy Bickle's coming back.
If you have a guy like Matt Dumba that's talented like he is, but he's also flawed, then maybe you use his talent. Maybe they should have had him on that power play during the first 2 months when they had like 2 power play goals and like 60, 70 power plays. But what did Mike Yo do? He didn't take action.
Problem is
that's an indictment. That's an indictment.
You can pick all this apart, but the problem is Dumba didn't have enough defensive responsibility, and he tried to pinch. Things got by him, and there was goals scored because of it. So, I mean, you can break this down as granular as you want to, but there's no one easy answer aside from what I said at the beginning of the show. Goaltending is where this all stems from. If goaltending was good, the positivity is there, and you don't have these issues. The players are playing with more confidence. They're playing with more of an edge. They're playing with just enough that they're not gonna drop these leads.
When have they played with that?
They would
not in December.
I'll tell you, they would if they had positive goaltending.
Maybe. But
I can tell you for a fact they would.
But so the goaltending situation is a non-starter. Everybody knows that the goaltending's bad, right? But then what else have they done to fix it, man? What has Mike Yo done to get his team back on track in December? He didn't do anything.
You should be able to make the playoffs with bad goaltending. Should you not? No. Getting through the playoffs totally different.
Absolutely not.
Well, wait a second. How many teams have good goaltending? Elite goaltending. I mean, a lot of teams get in the playoffs.
No. We have to stop right there. We talked about earlier in the show.
I seen teams
elite goaltending, and what we have. Yeah. We have subpar, bottom of the barrel goaltending.
Yes, we do. Yes,
Only worse is you want to talk about, do you make the playoffs with that goaltending?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Do you make the playoffs with average goaltending?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know why? Because your players play around the goaltending that they can get a game here and there. Are you going to goalie to steal a game for you? No. Those are the teams that win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
But
we don't have that.
It's been cocky to think that this team would fix it, man. I mean, like we talked about, right? The Kemper situation made it so that he's your number one goalie to start the year because Harding has a broken foot. But they could have gotten Kemper through waivers to the AHL.
I agree.
And they could have addressed this sooner.
I agree.
Right? Then you go into December.
You tried, but the thing is, I honestly think they tried to ride a guy that had good results.
You go into December, Scott, where you collapse every year under Yo. Every year that Yo's been the coach here, you collapse in December. And you think, not this team, because we're so talented, we have this, we have that, right? Don't take any action. Go into December, what do? You collapse. So then you end up where we are now, and how did this happen? How could this happen to us? Oh, it's just the goaltending. No, it's not. It's a failure to act. And it's an easy narrative to blame it on Kemper and Backstrom because Backstrom's old and Kemper's young. Kemper's a head case.
I'm blaming it on Harding.
I know, and Harding's not here. That's easy. That's a passive-aggressive way to blame it on somebody that's not even in the building, right? So then,
if I was him, I would move out of the state because he should be hated by every Minnesota Wild fan, period.
But, right, besides the three goaltenders, which we all know are the problem, there's other problems. It's not just one thing that completely derailed the system.
I'm telling you, though, and it doesn't matter because hindsight's always 20/20, but you start out this season with a legit number one goaltender, and you have, I don't care who your backup is, whether it's Kemper, whether it's Backstrom, but you have a goalie that can keep you in games, and you will not have to worry about any sort of collapse at the end. This is a different season, and we are not talking about the defensive woes, the other woes that we're talking about, because they are absolutely minimal in comparison to what we've dealt with in the goaltending area. They absolutely are minimal, but they're becoming sub-narratives, if you want to refer to it as that, to the goaltending. Because, the goaltending's shitty. Okay, what else is shitty? Well, the goaltending is, the defense is, our power play is, and our power play is bad. Our offense is bad, but I will stand by it from the beginning of when we did the podcast until whenever this is done. Goaltending stems everything on a hockey team.
Confidence matters, but I don't feel like this team is playing up to the potential they even have now.
Sure.
Even knowing you're going to give up some soft goals in the game, they are not playing like they have any chance ever.
Exactly my point. You will never play to your potential if you know that you have a colander guarding your net.
Boy, that's a new one. I mean, Civ, he gets away from the traditional Civ.
Who's draining the macaroni noodles? Backstrom and Kemper.
All right, let's take our last break and come back and wrap it up. We'll look at the schedule, which is actually fairly accommodating. If you were ever going to get your head out of your ass and make a run, who knows? Maybe Dubnyk comes in, provides a spark, gives them some just something solid in the nets. So yeah, maybe they get a little confidence. The schedule is, you got to admit, it's susceptible for a run if this team can get their collective heads out of their asses. We'll take a look when we come back.
Hey everybody, Rusty Gatenby here. So you think you've got a bad commute? Michael Francis is a Minnesota father raising his family in Orono, but he works in California, Hollywood, California.
You know, aside from the freeze-thaw cycle, which can be weekly in the winter, it is well-coordinated calendar planning.
Michael is a top executive at DreamWorks. His boss is Steven Spielberg.
Wear creative cocktail. I happen to be wearing a vintage gown, long gown.
So is Michael.
Yeah, that's right.
Together with his wife, Britt Kyla Francis, they have helped organize a one-of-a-kind charity event at the Mall of America Sunday night.
The Golden Globes, I think, of all the award shows is always the most fun to attend because it has got great energy and it's lively and often champagne-fueled.
That's right, they're bringing the Golden Globe experience to you, and it's all to benefit St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
Our daughter was treated there for brain cancer 6 years ago.
The most remarkable thing about the hospital is that it's a research center, so in real time they share all of their research and protocols with every other hospital.
It might be cold outside, but Sunday night at the Red Carpet for Hope, the Radisson Blu Hotel will be a Hollywood hot spot.
In addition to the dinner and watching the show, where there'll be a few special moments within the show for our guests.
It's a one-of-a-kind Golden Globe event. Check out the Red Carpet for Hope. For more information, check out the Rusty Gatenby Review.
Okay, last year, 2013, I lived just down the road, Pleasant Avenue, just a few blocks here from Uptown Pond, which is right on the corner of Lake and Pleasant. And, there are a couple of times, you just try to get to that next payday, maybe a couple of bucks short. If you've got some items, jewelry, diamonds, electronics, I mean, you come down here and they give you a fair price for it, and then you come back a week later, 2 weeks later, whatever, you get it back at a real reasonable price.
So we're very competitive, we hope, on different angles, in different ends, and different articles. Computers, electronics, TVs, jewelry. We buy, we give loans, and we also have emphasis on diamond jewelry too, that we also try and give credit for the best we can. We're specialists in that area also, so it's an all-round sort of combination.
Well, it's a great place. It's a nice, clean place with honest people, and I tell you what, it's got a real family feel to it. As a matter of fact, it's tied into the Strauss family, and I go way back with the late, great Jerry. So, I mean, these are people I know and people I trust. You can find them on Twitter, too, by the way. They're at Uptown Pond, and also on Facebook, Uptown Pond, and UptownPond.net.
There's a theme to all the music today, guys.
What, the Beatles?
Well, come together now. Because this has been really, really
Are we on
angry.
right now? Are we on? Oh, God, thank God I asked you, because I was going to...
What were you gonna say?
I was going to say, what exactly is your theme? I was going to go down a dark road. Dark
I'm kind of glad you did.
Kind of glad you did. Well, it's a kumbaya, everybody get in a circle and join hands. As the Wild circle the drain, now exactly. 8 points out of the playoffs in the Western Conference. Chasing a number of teams. Let's take a quick look at the standings. I do have them right here.
Just look towards the bottom, you'll see.
Well, in the Western Conference, you look at the last two playoff spots right now being held down by Winnipeg and Vancouver. Winnipeg has 52 points, Vancouver 49. The Wild are down at 41. They have a couple games in hand on Winnipeg. Vancouver actually has one in hand on us. So 8 points out at least. But then the other problem is you've got Colorado, Dallas, Calgary, right up the ladder there in front of you. So you got to pass no fewer than 4 teams to get into a wild card spot in the Western Conference. Again, you're halfway through the season. You do have plenty of time. But the way the teams played, the holes they have, the mess that they're in, it's hard to be optimistic when you look at those standings. A week ago, I didn't think it was so bad. 1 week it has gotten considerably worse. You look at the schedule, guys. They're at Buffalo tonight. Then they come home. They've got Arizona. They've got Columbus at home. They go to Detroit, to Edmonton, to Calgary, to Vancouver. It's not a murderer's row for the next. That takes you right up to February 1st. So from now to the end of the month and into the very beginning of February, not exactly the worst. And then after a home game against Chicago, you're home for Colorado, home for Vancouver, home for Winnipeg. At Winnipeg, home for Florida, home for Carolina. I mean, so we could take this right up to Valentine's Day, February 14th against Carolina. For the next month, 1 month from today, you've got a soft as hell schedule. Soft as could be. Tissue soft.
I would think soft.
Wet tissue soft.
Soft is a relative term. I mean, considering that soft would be if we were playing the kind of
that's a soft schedule.
The kind of brand of hockey that we've played in the past 2 years, arguably, but I mean, as of right now, I mean, I think we can be beat by just about anyone.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying we're gonna rip through it, but I'm saying that's a soft schedule.
And I would say this is considering the way that the Wild did play against Chicago on last Thursday. They did play a solid game of hockey. And,
I was there, thanks to Lindsay.
You put 42 shots on an elite goaltender. Any other goaltender in the league, maybe aside from a handful,
they played well.
You're gonna win that game. So you also play pretty
nice,
well
nice
against.
You to come by and say hi. By the way, I was one section over.
I waved at you, and you didn't even. You looked
down. Are you way down by the glass?
Yeah, I'm like, look to your right, and you didn't.
Were you wearing a red jersey?
He acknowledged your presence.
I did. I had the Parisi jersey on.
Okay, I thought I saw you.
Yep.
I thought I saw you.
So, anyways, but then you have Nashville. I think they put up a good effort against. I think they put another good effort against Chicago, and then they absolutely were, just undressed by Pittsburgh. Which I'll go back again and say it because of goaltending.
Yeah, they played well early, actually.
Because the goaltending was just embarrassing. I mean, I think somebody said it's like an or like an all-star goal, when he walked around Suter and he put it in the upper corner. I mean, there was no effort. Backstrom didn't move. It was horrible. That was a bad angle goal. But it just is. It's a microcosm of what exactly that has been our goaltending this year. Is you get the softies, you get the goals that shouldn't go in, the bounces, this and that. And that's what we have. I mean, we have a 7-2 game that you put a goalie in that is above average. That's a winnable game.
When do we think Dubnyk makes his debut?
I mean, let's hope Hockey Day Minnesota, right?
Against his former team.
We have Dubnyk now, so we coming. Ultimately, a third for Devin Dubnyk. You bring in a goalie to mix in with Backstrom, and maybe you mix him in with Kemper.
Harding is the new Harry Potter Voldemort, the name of which we do not speak.
Yeah. and so he's gone, right? But I think people talk about they need to trade for a defenseman for the third pair, and we have a soft schedule, and we might. I find it very interesting that and I wrote about it today. Who's to blame if nobody deserves the blame besides the goalies, obviously. So if nobody's going to own this and nobody's going to, if it's not a Yo issue and it's a players issue and they have the closed team meeting and Parise is the last one in the locker room, and I mean, if this team is already past the point of no return, what are we staring down? We should be staring down trying to get Connor McDavid or Jack Eichel, man. I mean, those guys are game changers. We should try to sell off assets and get a better mix, because this mix of guys, if they allow themselves to play themselves out of games, then maybe this isn't the bunch that's going to win us a cup here.
Problem is we talked about it before, is you have too many guys with no trade clauses, no move clauses, and contracts that are frankly just unacceptable contracts. Captain Koivu and everything. I mean,
well, there's guys
you're not getting.
There's guys you can move. You can move Pominville if you want. I mean, you're missing Granlund right now.
Maybe you move Pominville. Maybe you move a Zucker. Maybe you move a Coyle. Who knows? But at this point, for what? I mean, they're looking.
You got to change the locker room.
They're looking for better.
You could move Vanek. He doesn't make a ton of money for the kind of players.
That too.
And I don't think I've heard anything after the last show about anybody interested in him. Like we talked about Washington interested in him. I mean, if somebody was, maybe somebody like a Palmer, but I don't think you're going to trade any of the. I mean, Zucker's on a short-term deal. He hasn't signed anything long. Nino's only on a 3-year deal. I think he has a lot of value. So does Zucker. I mean, if you're talking about trading somebody that you're going to get a good return for.
But I also.
For what? Are you going to get picks at this point?
I would also argue.
If you're going to go down the drain, you might as well get picks and not guys.
I would also argue if you're not going to make the playoffs, right? Which is it's like 90% now that they're eliminated, given the way that they played. Given how far back they are, given that they changed the structure of the playoffs, right? So you have less opportunity, especially where they are. Given it's 90% that they're probably not going to make the playoffs, all they're doing is hurting themselves by winning more games because you need a dynamic guy. You don't need these middle-of-the-road prospects. You don't need the Phillips of the world.
Yeah, but no team is going to come out and say they're going to tank their season to win because especially with the lottery.
Maybe you don't say it out loud, but maybe you take steps.
You imagine telling somebody like a Zach Parise, like, hey, we're just going to shit the bed the rest of the season so we can get maybe because of the lottery we'll get somebody that is a top 1 or 2 draft pick.
Well, I mean, again, if you get your collective heads out of your asses, not you guys, the team. You look at 1 month from where we are now, February 14th. If you tear through Arizona, Columbus, Detroit, Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, Chicago, Colorado, Vancouver, Winnipeg, Florida, Carolina, which a good team would, it doesn't take a lot to get back. I mean, you're not chasing. When you're chasing the 8 spot, you're chasing a mediocre hockey team.
I will tell you this.
You're not chasing the division champ or division lead. You're chasing the last wild card spot. Mediocre hockey team, Winnipeg, Vancouver.
If you're right, and I mean, it's already been said like Backstrom's gonna try to bounce back in Buffalo. I mean, that's already been like we're gonna play him in Buffalo and whatever. So Dubers, not the Dubers.
Oh, that
but
one?
The other Dubers.
Okay.
D-Dub.
Can we tweak up? He's D-Dub.
Can we D-Dub?
D-Dub. That's a bad nickname.
That's a bad nickname for sure.
Yeah.
We should probably
that is a bad
give him
one.
a breathalyzer before he hits the ice.
Yeah, that is a bad nickname.
So if he comes in and he is the savior, like a Brizgalov 2.0.
The savior.
I mean, if he comes in and saves the season.
Devin Dubnyk the savior.
I said
don't
what?
do it.
What
if?
If
do it.
We're speculating. We're speculating.
I said if he comes in and all of a sudden just turns it around, because honest to God, we have a way better hockey team than Arizona.
We don't have a way better. You know, the only team
we do.
We have damn higher talent than Arizona.
Yes.
And if you don't admit that, you are a non-elite hockey mind.
The only team that's been worse than us in this 10-game stretch, the team we're going to play tomorrow night.
I'm telling you, it stems from the goaltender.
Yes, it's always the goaltender. It has nothing else to do.
You have more raw talent on this team than arguably most people in the league.
Isn't it worse? Aren't I an elite hockey mind for knowing it's worse that we have more raw talent than blah, 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 and we've played as bad as we have in the last 10 games?
Well, I think you're arguing two separate things. You're arguing performance, you're arguing talent, and they are two different things. We got a talented roster whose performance has been horseshit.
I acknowledge the talent.
We have
but you gotta
very,
acknowledge
very
that it's more than
superior
it's more
talent
than
across. If you went on paper across the league, where do you think that we would rank? You take everything off. The beginning of the season, on paper, minus goaltending.
Top third of the league. Top third of the league.
I would say easily top third of the league with what we have.
Which makes it such an indictment that the only team in hockey in the last 10 games that's been worse than us is Buffalo.
You rally behind D-Dubs, and I think you can make a run.
We're rallying behind D-Dubs, who's the savior. D-Dubs is the savior.
When we make the playoffs, I'm gonna trademark that shit. So you just remember that.
I'm getting a shirt tomorrow.
I'm the one who's here giving you the 1 month outlook, looking ahead to February 14th.
I'm getting a shirt tomorrow.
We're looking at Valentine's Day. Either we'll be in love or our hearts will be broken. On February 14th.
the savior.
All right. I mean, no, you're not down with that?
I'll buy his jersey. He goes on a run. What's up?
All right, jeez, don't make bedroom eyes of me, Schweitz. That's a little creepy. It's a little creepy. All right, so you look at the week that will be. You've got Hockey Day Minnesota coming up this weekend. Does that? I don't know if that does anything for anybody.
Hey, my Hill Murray Pioneers are playing the cadets of St. Thomas. It finally went over to the right class.
Yeah.
I might say it out loud.
Yep, they grew a pair. They finally grew a pair.
Hockey Day Minnesota. We
stacked
got
enough trophies.
We got St. Paul Police Department versus St. Paul Fire Department.
I like
Why
that.
are they doing this at an airport on a runway?
That's
stupid.
weird.
You know why?
That's dumb.
Because they want to get the outdoor game to St. Paul before the outdoor game comes to Minneapolis.
Well, you know what? In all honesty,
I think they want to probably build the outdoor bit before, so the Wild can try to say, hey, look at the outdoor bit.
Well, when you look at where all the tradition, I mean, this game's going to be played kind of like in the middle of where you have Johnson and Harding and all these old school traditional powers. Hill Murray is more Maplewood, but nonetheless, it's kind of like in the center of with Cretin and Newer Power. I mean, it's kind of a St. Paul catch-all location. But it's not a traditional location. It's
not at all.
It's an airport. It's a runway. I mean, can we come up with a park? I mean, they've done Lake Phelan, haven't they? Haven't they done it?
No, you're thinking of the one where they do the pond hockey.
Oh, they didn't do a hockey day on Lake Phelan?
No, they did a hockey day, I think, out in they did one in Elk River.
They did one in Bemidji, I think. Was it Bemidji?
Bemidji, they did one in way up
they've done
north.
Baudette, Lake of the Woods,
I
yeah.
mean, so those type
I
of
thought
things.
they did Lake Phelan. My
You
bad.
could do it at the Saints Stadium
Well,
next
they
year,
should have
though.
done Lake Phelan. That would be better than a fucking airport.
They're ice
don't you
fishing
think?
for bullheads on Lake Phelan. What are we talking about?
I think honestly, what they're trying to show, like, we can make an ice rink out of not an ice rink. And I think when I saw home and field, I'm like, all right, they're trying to do like a precursor to some sort of outdoor game, on an NHL level.
Really?
That's what I thought.
If they don't beat the Coyotes on Hockey Day, Minnesota, if they shit the bed on Hockey Day, Minnesota, it'll be a disaster.
Have we ever lost?
Well, and you know the headline
It'll
Sunday.
be a disaster.
And you know the Sunday headline. Coyote Ugly.
Coyote Ugly.
Oh, there it is.
It'd be a no-brainer, wouldn't
And
it?
Tom Powers is gonna write some miracle
Can't fight the moonlight.
jerky column.
I don't get that.
What a disgrace.
It's from the movie.
Oh, is it? I never saw the
Tom
movie.
Powers.
I've been to the bar in Vegas.
Tom
Oh, that's
Powers
cool.
should never write hockey ever again. Copyright
Wow.
Hockey Wilderness.
Look at you. It's like a wrestler calling for a
I think
retirement match.
He's moved his
Back
anger
in the
from
day.
Russo over to Powers.
Yeah.
No, I honestly respect him. I love Russo. Russo does a great job, and I just like to give him the business, right?
Hey, by
Tom
the way,
Powers.
Russo was dropping a lot of F-bombs on his podcast.
That was
Is he
awesome.
really awesome? That is awesome.
Tom Powers could get his shirt pulled over his head.
Wow. That's from a police officer.
No.
An officer.
That's from a guy that cares.
What if he's got a fighting
his
strap? He should put the fighting strap on.
Nice.
Tony just cracks me up. He's one of the most unique.
That's why you got to
individuals.
get the fighting strap in the bit, because you don't pull it over.
You know what? All I ever do is care about people's feelings. That's all I ever do.
Oh,
That's why
God,
he's a basement crier. That's why.
I wish you drank more. I really do. Just-
You know, I don't drink like at all, basically, and this is like my personality. So like, you have to just sign up for this. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people wonder about Jeff Dubay, and then I wonder about Jeff Dubay because he signed up
Well, that
for
was a
me.
shot.
You
That
get
was
what
a
I'm
shot.
saying?
That was a shot. That's all right. No, Tony's
Oh.
one of my favorite people. We only have a couple minutes left. Any closing thoughts, you guys? I mean, you've been screaming at each other for an hour. I mean, you got any closing thoughts? Have you shot your wads?
Yo knows best.
Easy.
Yo knows best.
Podcast.
It's nobody's fault but the goaltenders.
Oh, here comes Mr. Sarcasm.
Nobody's
Here comes
to
Mr.
blame
Sarcasm right there.
because it's Harding's fault, who hasn't been here all year, and I love Scott Schweitz a lot.
Wow, that's.
I appreciate it.
So that was sarcastic too, I assume. Wow.
Probably right.
Come on, you guys.
But I will say this.
I'm worried about the future of the show.
A lot
now.
of love.
I will say that the
What a dick.
goaltending, if you can accept what I said about the goaltending and the implications that the Harding contract caused on this team, not only the contract but the injury with the foot too, it's telling of what is wrong with this team, stemming from the goaltending. And if Dubnyk is the one that's going to come in, is going to
savior?
maybe steal a couple games.
Will
and,
you say
and
the savior?
The savior.
Yes.
Do you save?
Proud of you.
Hey, the savior has the word save in it, and that's important for goaltending because we don't have that right now.
Yeah, that's true.
So I will say this: if he's better than who we have now, we have a better than 50% chance of making the playoffs.
All right, I think that's good. Wow.
That's Sex
That's
Panther
bold. That was
statistics.
bold. I almost went right
all
past
the time.
Sex Panther chances.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are.
If Dubnyk can get 65% of the time, he's all the time.
All right. We're on that note. We're gonna wrap it up. We hope that the wounds that have been endured on this show, that they can be salved. They can be salved. They can be healed in time for next week. Are you guys gonna be okay? Are we? I mean, we're gonna have to just.
We're gonna bump some fronts on the way out the door.
Couples therapy for you two? Is it gonna be okay?
We're gonna bump some fronts on the way out the door.
It was an aggressive addition. There's no doubt about it. But hopefully, I mean, you two are two of my favorite people. You better put it back together in time for next week. Until then, for Jason McGovern, Scott Schweitz, Tony Dean, and our good friends here at Burger Mo's, I'm Jeff Dubay, and this was a wild Wednesday, a very wild Wednesday.